Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Akhil Patania. I'm VP for E-commerce solutions at Royal Cyber and a practice head for HCL Commerce, uh, previously known as IBM WebSphere Commerce. And here we are with another iteration of webinars that we have been doing on version 9.0. It's exactly the time for the webinar, so let's give another 2 or 3 minutes for anyone else who might be in the process of joining. And in the meantime, for those who are familiar with what's it called on the HCL side now, it's called HCL Commerce, but we kind of kept it HCL WebSphere Commerce so that, we can clarify that, and, this is some new information on our side as well. So yeah, it's no longer called WebSphere Commerce or HCL WebSphere Commerce, it's called HCL Commerce. So that is a nomenclature we'll be taking forward in the next webinars that we'll do as part of the series. So having said that, I'll just wait another 2 minutes before I jump into it. I hope you all can see my screen. Royal Cyber, e-commerce made easy. That's what we do. We try to make it easy for all of you guys as a partner, as a vendor, as a SI. So yeah, so this is one of the initiatives. We do that in that process. So as and when we know more information about the products, platforms, we try to push it to people that we need to interact with, which can be our existing customers, prospective customers, someone who's just here to understand more about the topic, our partners, which is HCL. So yes, hopefully this will go. You guys, when you go out of this webinar, you'll probably have a little bit more information than you already had on the topic. So coming to the main topic, so we'll be focusing on the migration part, because as we know, v9 has a larger acceptance now. There are a lot of customers who are either have gone live on v9 or who are in the process of going live on v9. One of the main reasons I would say is with v7, reaching end of life in 2020, it is literally, it's literally like if you do not start right now, then it would be a little too late for you guys. So let's say if any of the customers are in the call today, you really need to get back and decide what you want to do, because you are exactly into 7 to 8 month time frame period, which is required for you to be migrating to a version 9 platform. Unless you are planning to shell out extra money for extended supports and so forth, which again, depending upon your situation, might be a good idea. But yeah, this is about time when you should actually make that decision that you have been thinking about. So since it has matured, and we have matured as a SIE as well. So like before I jump into it, let me explain you the whole migration thing. So when we talk about a migration, like, as a business user, what you see is it's kind of a tip of iceberg, where you are more concerned as a business user on the technical bits, which means like how many customers you have that you need to migrate to a new version of the platform, how many products you have, right? So this is what you have in terms of numbers, and this is what you can substantiate as a business user. But the actual problem is not in those numbers, but it's more of the bulk of the migration lies on the planning, reorganization, transformation of your existing data into something which is supported by the new platform. And at the same time, you would have a lot of items as part of your roadmap that you want to include in that migration, because since you're doing this major transformation, you want to make sure that you're also abreast with the most latest technologies and features which are available in the market, so that your customer is not left behind. They're getting the best experience there is. And since you are moving to the latest platform, it is kind of a right that your customers are asking for. So you have to. So those things needs to be included as part of this planning as well. So in terms of what approaches that we are, so that we have seen, or like what customers, when they reach to us, like, they talk to us. So we have broadly classified this migration into 3 different phases. Like I won't even call them phase, but these are 3 different categories that we have tried to put together. Either the customer is just willing or interested to move their setup to a newer platform, so they are in compliance with the licenses and stuff. Either they are planning to migrate. When you say migrate, they want to move from existing or an older version to a new version, which means they want to take advantage of the new feature set, of course, when they move to new platform. And then sometimes your migration can take such a long time, depending upon your situation. Then the platform might have a lot of new updates, which are kind of a small migration in themselves, which can be an upgrade. So when we talk to any customer, or if the customer is willing to go forward with the migration, it might include either one or all of them. In most cases, we have seen that it's kind of a combination of 2 or more. And based on that, we have come up with this 3 different ways that we can approach it. Lift and shift is a very common term that you must have heard before from IBM, from HCL. So it's a scenario where you just want to make sure that you're in compliance with the licenses. You do not really have too much time on your hand. So maybe you're looking at a 4 to 6 month period for yourself to be moved onto the new platform. So here what we do is we simply pick up your package from V7, which means it has all the library files, code files, artifacts, everything, including EJBs, database, data, everything is what you have on version 7. We're just picking and dropping it on version 9, which means you are compliant in terms of licenses, but you're not at all using any of the new features which are available on the new version of the platform. So that's what it's called lift and shift. But even though it sounds very simple, very quick, but at the same time, you are still spending that money for 6 months, right? And if you ask me how much does it take for a complete re-implementation, I would say 8 months, which is only 2 months short of actually a complete re-implementation where you can take advantage of everything which is included as part of the new platform. Like if you talk about a v9, we're talking about like microservices, then we're talking about containerization, we're talking about open source technologies like Liberty servers, so on and so forth, the latest version of the Solar. So this is a lot that you do not want to miss out on. But again, depending upon whatever your situation is and what is the pressure you are undergoing, you have to take a decision. So we came up with a new term, lift and refit. What we are offering is, while we do a lift and shift for you essentially, but then in case you have a wish list or a roadmap item that you want to immediately take care of, we can include that. So we can tweak, we can rewrite some of the customizations that you had on the previous version so that we can take advantage of something that might already be available out of the box. Which means we can get rid of the customizations that you have done on V7 and use the out-of-the-box services on version 9 to implement those use cases. So it's kind of a mixture, kind of takes the same time, like 5 to 6 months or 7 months, but then it gives you kind of one step ahead than lift and shift. So we can tweak some of the solutions. We can use containerization. I would not say like as a complete small component that we have on version 9, but we can see what we can do, and then we can put them on as Docker images and take advantage partially of that feature as well. Re-implementation, as it says, we do a fit gap analysis of your existing platform with what are the feature set available on version 9. We also throw in our own components. So Royal Cyber has written a lot of accelerators since we have been working with commerce customers for a very long time. So anything that is reusable, we have put them as accelerators or small software modules, which we can utilize to give our customers a quick start. So let's say if any of the features that you are or customizations you have on V7 or any of the new items or wish list items that you have, we might already have the code to implement it. So we can use that for a quick start as part of re-implementation as well. So what you get is the same site that you had previously. If you want to keep the same look and feel, or if you want to change that, we can do that too. So you get the same brand moving forward with totally new uniform, totally new heart, totally new feature set, and you'll be surprised to see the change in performance. So one example would be Abercrombie & Fitch. We went live with them in February, both of the brands, Abercrombie & Fitch and Hollister. So whenever you guys find time, just go to the site and have a look at it. The front end is heavily modded, like it's a thin client that we have implemented. So if you go, try to see the crispness or the fluidity of the site, which will give you an idea on how the new version 9 platform works, making use of all the features. Depending upon which approach the customer wants to take, we have a 3-phased approach. The planning phase, where the client stakeholders and our stakeholders will sit together. We have a team that has worked out well. It's a team configuration consisting of technical architects who have already worked on the v9 platform, senior developers, some BAs who knows like all the use cases. So this team will be interacting with the client's team to understand their requirements, putting together a fit gap analysis, and then finally sharing that as a deliverable so the client team can make an informed decisions, both in terms of how much time it would take and how much the cost of the migration would be. Once there's an approval, the practice phase would include started moving your toolkits, local environments, which is both a toolkit environment, a server environment, to version 9. So again, there are a lot of challenges. As we know, on version 7, we have EJBs, a lot of prehistoric components where IBM originally, but now HCL would have already provided some utilities that we can utilize to help move those components into new components like JPA. Again, it's not like a solution where you put in an older artifact and then you get a new artifact. It's just a set of instructions that have been provided. So the whole work still needs to be done. So we have already done that hard work. So we already know how we have to convert them again and again. So we have built certain accelerators where we can feed all those EJBs and then we can get the JPA components, which further helps cutting down the time. So so once that is done, so we move the toolkit to v9, we move the local environments to v9, and once we have achieved success there, then we move on to the production environments. And again, thanks to the new architecture, we don't really have to switch off the version 7 to move to version 9. We can do a rolling update. So you don't have to plan any downtimes or the weekends and all, even for the couple of minutes. So we can do a rolling go live with version 9. So planning phase, again, as I said, it's a 2 to 3. We can even offer an assessment. So what we do is, like, when the client is skeptical, since we have done it so many times, we have a 2 to 3 week assessment that we are offering where we can work on site with the client team, talk with stakeholders, understand their new requirements, old requirements. A lot of the times, customers are also interested to explore how it might seem if they want to move to the cloud. So our job is to bring those cloud options as well. A lot of our customers are using a cloud instance. They're also using their own cloud, like on AWS, Google, Microsoft. As you would know, version 9 makes use of containerization. So Kubernetes is a very important or crucial component when we talk about cloud infrastructure. So we have very good experience working all these popular platforms and what we can probably recommend as a platform of choice. So we can share that information as a fit gap analysis. And we also provide a high-level migration plan. So anyone who's looking in that direction can get a pretty good idea. This is a quick snapshot of the number of steps which are involved when you are planning to move from version 7 to version 9. Originally, you need to be on feature pack 8 to take advantage of this, but now you can be on feature pack 6 as well, and you don't have to migrate to feature pack 8 and then to version 9. Even if you are on feature pack 6, you can directly move to version 9. It's quite a list like which we have put in together for that anyone who's trying to understand how they can move, they can look at it and they can understand. So migration is just one component, because when you are moving from an older version to new version, and let's say everything is working out fine for you, you're getting organic hits, people are searching for you, name is popping on top of those search engines, people are clicking on those AdWords or keywords, your company website is coming up first, they are clicking on those, the traffic is coming to you. So it's always a very, again, as I said, catch-22 situation, whether you should try to fix something which is not even broken, right? So then you might even want to contemplate, okay, maybe you can just keep on extending the support contract and not take advantage of the new features because you are in a happy situation, right? So that's where we also try to comfort you with the fact that while we are doing a migration, we are not ignoring those important aspects, whether it's UI, whether it's your SEO, whether it's your backend processes. We do take those into account as well. So some of the focus points that we really look or keep into account is the backend logic. So we want to make sure that even if you do not have any bottlenecks, that is not something that you'll have once you have migrated. It should be on the other side, like if you currently are facing any bottlenecks in terms of performance, or if your holiday season is coming, you are planning that performance tuning or so on and so forth, and you can see that your site is feeling sluggish and all. So as part of this migration effort, our performance team will also be looking into those bottlenecks so they're not carried forward. And we try to come up with better performances. So let's say if you have numbers across what kind of performance you have right now and what is a desirable performance, so we can do a fit gap analysis on that as well. And we can tell you what can be achieved with version 9 and what cannot be, so that everyone is on the same page. After your business logic comes a user interface, which is really important. So, I'm not saying this is some information I have been gathering from some number of reports that we are subscribed with. So it's always the response time that a user would spend. If they do not get the response within that particular time frame, they lose interest, or they'll simply move on to a different site to get that information. So it's really important that your front end is crisp. the information flows pretty quickly, and the right information is there. So while we might have to use a number of tools to achieve it, but the point is that we have to achieve it irrespective, because if you're not leading the race, then there's no point to be a part of the race. Like, you're not getting the traffic, you're not getting the revenue. So you have to be right in that particular sweet spot where all the customers are focusing on. So when we are doing this migration, we'll also be optimizing your web servers, your database queries, making sure that we can reduce the time as much as possible so that your customers are able to see that information that they are requesting. First of all, they can see, and they can see that within that particular sweet spot, which works out well for the majority of 80 to 90% of the users. So even if your backend is, clunk free, your front end is pretty responsive, you're getting all the information, but at the end of the day, do you have the traffic? So you need to have that traffic coming to your site to be taking advantage of those features that you have enabled. So if everything is working on well for you, it is our responsibility that we make sure that you get a better SEO setup on the new site and not on the other side. So, like, let's say if your SEO is working out well, we make sure that we carry forward those SEO rules, whatever you have configured on the older platform to the newer platform as well. And at the same time, our team would be making suggestions, recommendations based on the changing SEO strategy, how we can take advantage of the new platform as well as the strategies that we have worked with other customers, how it has helped those people as well. So we can kind of provide all that information to you on a piece of paper or on the same platform, and then expect you to make a decision so that we can move forward. So the point is, like, we keep into account these focus points when we are working on the migration piece of it. And at the same time, I think all of you would agree with me that it is really important that we have CI, CD, and CT. A combination of these three practices, I would say, and I won't call them tools, but it's more kind of a practice to have continuous integration, continuous build, and continuous testing a part of your team. So you can get rid of those manual processes, interventions, and your effort is mostly spent on focusing on things which are important to you, rather than figuring out whether the code was merged or not, whether the build happened or not, if it failed, why it failed, if it passed, was it deployed to the servers or not. So instead of spending your time all of here, we need to be focusing more on what additional things need to be done on the customer facing side to make that experience better. So even though I would know, like, majority of we guys are already using Jenkins, Bamboo, and other automation tools, but are we doing it effectively, right? So that's the whole point. And even if you're using those technologies, you might still be spending like close to 2 to 3 hours doing a build. You might not even be doing delta builds. You might not be even cleaning up your workspaces, or you might be cleaning up your workspaces, which means every time you do a build, the whole code merge or pull happens again, costing you that additional time, which you might not be even aware of, that it can be reduced to, a couple of minutes, if not like half an hour and 1 hour. So that's where a Royal Server again comes into the pictures and brings this experience to you. So while we are doing a migration for you, we're also setting up those CI, CD, and CT processes for you, which means the very first instant when any of the developers submits a code, it will initiate a build process. The build process will result in a build which will be deployed on this test server. After deployment, the test cases would be executed automatically. Now, the platform that we use for CT, which is continuous testing, is Steve, which is again homegrown, using open source technology, so that you don't really have to worry about any of the licenses. So this platform is so capable that it can execute all the test cases. You can specify the threshold. So let's say if you have a threshold of 98%, it will see if 98% of the test cases have passed. If it has passed, then only it will give a approval for the build to be deployed on the production servers. Otherwise, the build would be rolled back. And it does not only does that, it will initiate a communication channel with all the important stakeholders. It will capture log information for any of the test cases that has failed. It'll take screenshots. It will attach any issues in terms of input error messages that were captured on screen. It supports multiple browsers at the same time, multiple devices, which can be your mobile device, a tablet device, desktop device. It checks the responsiveness of that particular UI, and it will capture all of that, and it will assign. So let's say if something fails, it will attach all that information to your incident management platform. So if you're using Jira, it will create a ticket, assign it to a developer, and attach all this information. So imagine a scenario where you submitted a code, the whole build and deployment happened, the testing happened, you got a notification whether the build was pass or fail. And then when you go to Jira, all those tickets have already been created with all the snapshots, which means you do not have to waste time to try to, recreate the scenario. And it has been assigned to a developer as well. So let's say if I make any changes or I say, okay, I have fixed this particular problem, I submit that ticket as closed. Again, build and deployment happens. If it's not fixed, it will automatically be reopened. So you're not wasting any time with communication. It's already been done. So you have no clue how much time you will be saving there as well. So this is another strategy or focus point for us to provide you with that continuous integration, build and testing. So you have no manual intervention, as least possible errors as it can be, and you can spend more time on focusing on things which are important. Again, for this migration assessment, as I said, so we have this migration that we are offering, assessment that we are offering. So in case you or any of your customers are interested, we can definitely do it for you guys as well. So that kind of brings me to the cloud question, to be or not to be. I'm sure a lot of you, because that's what we have felt with our customers too. Originally, there was this doubt in everyone's mind whether cloud would be more secure, it will not be that much secure, what happens to the data we'll be sharing on the cloud, what happens to the cost, what happens to the scalability in case we want to increase, decrease, what happens to the skill set that we would require to maintain these cloud instances, so on and so forth. So bottom line, the cloud has matured. All the big names that you have heard about, they are in the market right now, from Amazon to Microsoft to Google, Salesforce. Everyone has a cloud option or offering which is available to you at a very competitive price. And you will not be surprised to know that the cost of these cloud platforms might be even lesser than the on-prem setup you have right now, minus the complexity. And this is their bread and butter, right? So if that's their bread and butter, they would be making sure that they provide you maximum number of uptime, which is like 99.99%, which means you can let go your resources who are focusing to make sure that the infrastructure is up and running. You don't have to worry about upgrades. You don't have to worry about scalability. So this is available at demand. So let's say during your peak sales season, you have resources available. So if you want to scale up, you can scale up at a nominal cost. And with version 9 coming into the picture, and which makes use of containerization, so you can only focus on those components that need to be scaled. So let's say if you have 100% traffic, and out of that 100%, only 3% are converting, which means only 3% are actually using the business logic, which involves a checkout, payment processing, and then sending out them confirmation emails, and then interacting with the order management, so on and so forth. So in case your traffic is increasing, you can purely focus on the front end part of it. So whole of your storefront is sitting in a separate container within a version 9.0. And let's say if in case the performance needs to be improved, you can just replicate or scale the front end component. So previously, you had to scale the whole infrastructure, which would include your server, your transactional server, then you'll have your database and everything. So now you can simply scale your storefront at a very nominal cost, thereby providing your customers an experience that they deserve. Again, if you want to expand storage or any of the features, processors, memory, if you want features like transaction monitoring, mostly this cloud comes with those options as well, which means you don't have to separately spend money on buying additional services in terms of monitoring your transactions. So all of that is available to you on the same dashboard. And you don't have to worry about it. You can manage the whole thing remotely without worrying about the security. Security has been always debatable. Like, originally, like people would say, like, it's sitting on the public domain, public cloud, private cloud. Now we have private clouds too. You can even connect to them using VPN. So at any point in time, based on our experience and how the trend is changing, it probably is more secure than your on-prem setup. And it's about time where we have to start accepting it and moving towards the cloud. So if you have been thinking about it, think again. It's about time you can take advantage of the pricing which is available in the market. And in case you want to do some assessment, we are already here. So we have for older WebSphere Commerce customers who want to move to HCL Commerce version 9.0, we already have an accelerator which can automatically convert whatever needs to be converted in terms of processes. If you have automated any of the scripts, how we can convert it to something which is more acceptable on the cloud. Now, whether you're talking about IBM Cloud, HCL Cloud, or you're talking about Amazon, So I'll give you one quick example. So we have one customer in Australia so let's say when you go to the cloud, you also want disaster recovery, right? So essentially, when you talk about disaster recovery, the infrastructure has to be of the same size as your production environment. And as everyone would agree, your production environment is always the most expensive infrastructure that you are probably spending your money on. So keeping a copy of that, which is not even being utilized, means you need to double the expenses that you are doing on the production environment. While no one wants it, but this is a mechanism that needs to be in place if you do not want to suffer any downtime in the future. And that, when I say downtime, it would be a long downtime. So let's say if your site is hosted on a production environment in XYZ place, and God forbid, the whole electricity goes off, they don't have, their backup is exhausted, and there's no way the electricity is going to come back there like another 1 day or something, then you're stuck. So that's where disaster recovery or would come into the picture, but that would mean you spending the double the amount. So what we did for Amazon, we came up with a script. So we wrote this script which would automatically create a new instance once the original instance goes down. So let's say if we are hosting that XYZ place, and because of electricity or any other natural calamity or something that we cannot foresee happens, the site goes down. Within half an hour, the whole infrastructure would be created in another instance or a different location, which means you don't have to really invest on that DRPs that you have always dreaded. So cloud automation, they have reached such levels that anything and everything is possible, which was not possible probably in 2018. So yeah, think again. If you're looking for any recommendations, assessment, Royal Servers here. Now that brings me to one of the, maybe one of the main reasons probably you guys attended the webinar is the roadmap. So as I told, like we have been talking with HCL folks, a lot of this information actually, HCL has been very proactive. So let me spend a little time here to talk good things about HCL, even though I know HCL because I'm from India. So of course I know HCL has been there mostly in the background, doing research and development, supporting organizations big and small and medium with the services on the embedded side, electronics, IT, support. And slowly and steadily, what we have seen, they're trying to, come forward as well in terms of taking ownership of those platforms that they have been serving for so long. Their relationship with IBM started, I think, 3 years back, or maybe even later. But 3 years back, they started taking ownership for the solutions that they have been working on and coming as a front-facing profile as well. And the general feedback for the customers who have been working on those technologies have been positive. HCL has been very proactive with the updates, support, in terms of fixes that are available. So in terms of updates on that platform, newer versions. So HCL has been a lot more proactive, and they have been on time and given functionalities which were, which people were waiting for, and they gave it on time. So keeping that thing forward, what they have said, and I'm quoting one of the videos they had shared on the site as well, that they have some 6 items that they're aiming to take care of in the next few short span of time. One thing is intelligent search. As we all know, even with version 9, even though we get the latest version of Solar, which was never the case in the older versions, so finally we have a Apache. So we have a version of Solar which is like in line with the latest available in the open source technologies world. So now the focus is more on intelligent search. So any platform that you work with, whether it's Apache and Deck or anything else, without artificial intelligence or business intelligence getting fed in, there's no way the search can know what are people clicking on. So there has to be a mechanism in place which can take into account. So let's say if I search for an item on a particular website, let's say I search for shirt, I might get all the search results. If I'm searching for red shirt, I might get red shirt, but it might be at the middle of the page or the bottom of the page, or might get a red shirt which is not even desirable just because it's red, or have a smaller stripe somewhere. It was tagged as red, so I get that as the first search result. So I will have to spend time browsing, going down, going to the next page to see if I'm not missing out on any of the products which I might want to buy, right? So in the process, my time is getting wasted. So as a customer, I might not want to waste that much amount of time. I might go to a different site, or I might do a Google search, because Google search should probably give me a better result than the site search that I'm going through. So what needs to be done is, like, we need to have a mechanism which can take into account or give ranking to these products based on how many people are clicking on those products, which products are actually getting converted. Like, people go to the PDP and then they add them to the shopping cart and actually do a checkout. So it's very important to only publish those products as the top priority ones, and the other ones which are not even being getting interacted to be on the lower side of the search results. So right now, our customers are using third-party tools to achieve this, but HCL is going to bring that as part of your e-commerce platform. So intelligent search, so that there are no non-zero search results, but at the same time they are more relevant. So you don't feel like wasting your time in trying to find a product by using the search mechanism. Accuracy and usability. So like right now, if there are like 4 or 5 different tools that we have to use on WebSphere Commerce previously, and now HCL Commerce. You have your accelerator, you have your management center, you have like a couple of org admin tools. So there are a lot of different tools that you have to use. With some of our customers, what we're doing is, because they don't want to do it, so we have built our own interface which makes use of REST-based services to give those features using that common interface. So it's again a customization that customers have to do right now if they do not want to use all those individual tooling. So HCL is going to be more focused with this tooling and improve it further, so that usability is more usability is more like focused on, and at the same time you don't have to think about, okay, I want to do this, which tool I should be using. So single interface, you go there, get the job done, and move forward. So that's one of the other focus items that HCL has at this point in time. Another thing is your analytics. So whenever you are doing any campaigns or you're planning any campaigns, you need to have that information, like whether you should be doing this campaign at this time, whether the campaign you are doing for a particular product in a particular region, and you're promoting that product for so and so price, is everything in line with the competition? Because if you are not in line with the competition, your campaign is as good as not running a campaign at all. So imagine if I'm trying to run a campaign for Illinois during the summer season, and I'm trying to sell a particular t-shirt which is very popular as per my last year information, or maybe based on some sales record, and I simply see, okay, last time I ran a campaign, but I think I got some good feedback, so let me run it again. So without any analytics or any information, if I run it again, it might not be successful, or it might be a little more successful. But with business insights, which was called like customer insights as a separate solution on IBM, which HCL is trying to embed within HCL Commerce itself. With this insights, it will actually give you these clues. Like, maybe you want to run this campaign because when you ran it last year, this is the percentage increase in number of sales in so and so region. This was the pricing at that time. And if you have AI enabled as well, it can actually check in real time what is the cost of that product if someone else is selling, so that you can be more competitive when you're running that campaign. So maybe I was thinking of running the campaign in Illinois, but it seems, if I do that in Ohio, I might get better results. So these are the kind of insights which can help the business user in being more focused with the pricing and the promotions. Again, as they say, the history repeats itself. So if you guys would recall, when e-commerce was in like late 2000, people were using different CMS, Adobe, OpenCMS, blah, blah, blah as the front end, and then they will simply use e-commerce as a transactional engine. So once you have browsed the catalog, clicked on an item, gone to a particular page, so once you go to the checkout page, or the shopping cart, that's when you will switch from the CMS side to the commerce side. And sometimes that switch would be visible, sometimes it would not be, depending on what kind of work was done, and then you'll do a checkout from the commerce side. So that trend changed into something where you have a single platform which has both CMS capabilities as well as transactional capabilities. So you don't really have to invest in a separate tool to get that enhanced experience. So in late 2010s, like mid 2015, 16, 17, 18 for that matter, that's the trend how it has been. Now that is changing again. Now everyone is moving to microservices, so that you can choose the front end of your choice, because the CMS systems have enhanced like n times. The amount of services, the amount of features they have come up with. We have like platforms which even provide content as a service. So imagine You write all your content in a separate system, and then now you can publish this content to any platform. It can be your mobile, it can be your tablet, it can be your desktop site, it can be anything. And the wrapper that accepts that information will display it for you. So you don't have to be tied up with a particular tool to write that content. The content can be coming from anywhere, any part of the world, irrespective of what platform that content is written on. So it makes more sense to have your e-commerce capabilities entirely available on a React Native set or a web services set that you can utilize and integrate with this front-end technology to give your customers experience which is second to none. And that's where the trend is. So looking to that trend as well, HCL is looking for a more modern and simplified UI UX. So your customer experience is at par, at least at par with what the competition has to offer. Again, cloud, as we saw in a couple of slides before, cloud is something which is very important to the customers because when we talk about migration, cloud has to come into the picture, because whenever the organization takes a very crucial step or a big step of migration, which involves a lot of money, it does make sense to consider other attributes of your platform too, which can be your cloud or anything else. In case you are going for a totally new look and feel, you want to add some additional enhancements which are a little big in terms of effort. So this is the right time to substantiate all of those, combine all of those, and then start on a project which will cover all of those. So HCL is focused on making sure that the platforms are multi-cloud ready, and they're also looking into some additional storefront models for B2C and B2B, which means like right now we have Aurora jQuery on version 9 for both B2B and B2C, but we can look forward to expect something more modern, simple for both B2C and B2B. And of course, as you know, version 9 is pretty much there with the microservices architecture. There's a lot of tooling features which need to be moved as well, and a couple of additional areas. So the focus of HCL is going to be make it, if not 100%, as close as possible to 100%, totally based on microservices. So you can just focus on whatever your preferences are. Like if you prefer some other front end, you can still use it. If you prefer some other payment processing, you can still use it. If you prefer some other email marketing, you don't have to be tightly coupled with HCL Commerce. You can just use the React, you can use the web services to take advantage of those and integrate these disparate systems together so that they can work for your advantage. And the timeline that they have given is like in the 9 to 12 months, they are expecting to have these updates passed on to their customers and partners. So, which is not bad, I would say. That's a pretty good timeline. And I do need to check on how many months have passed down though, because the deal was just closed in July. So if you keep that into account, I think that's a pretty good timeline to have those features for the customers who have decided to stay on, existing V7, V8, or V9, or who are planning to move to version 9. So that kind of brings me towards the solutions that Royal Cyber has. As I said, like we kind of do it all. If we have to quickly look at the spectrum of V9, we have accelerators on the fraud side, payment side, email marketing, CMS. Marketplace is something which is actually picking up a lot. We are actually working with the third customer who is expanding their wings, and they're including Miracle Marketplace solution. I don't know if you have heard about it, but it's kind of a suite which kind of expands your HCL Commerce platform capabilities to have marketplace capabilities as well. Premier is one of the customers who have gone live in June. Another vendor, so we have Royal Cyber is there. We have another vendor as well, and now we are also working with Copel. They are based out of Mexico, and they are planning to go live with Miracle by early next year as well. So something, in case you are wondering about what to do for marketplaces, you can explore that. We have our own IoT solutions that integrate with HCL Commerce. So you can click a button and place orders, which are rapid orders. So if I have to give you an example, an IoT button would be something like Amazon Dash. We have our own mobile application, native for both native for both iOS and Android. Now we have a React Native version as well, which simply sits on top of HCL Commerce and extends the capabilities. We have various packages like SEO tuning. We have accelerators on analytics, ERP, image hosting. We have our own ratings and review solution. So yeah, you can take advantage of all of those. And if you are looking for any migration packages, so we have this super accelerator that we offer, which kind of covers your database search, EJB to JPA conversion, RESTful API implementation. So we cover all of that as this. On top, we give you a lot more AI capabilities. We give you automation, we give you DevOps, and we give you headless options too. And if I have to quickly list down the headless options we have our own SPA version written on Angular and React. We have React Native Thin Client. We have mobile application. We can even, so your customers can even use our chatbot to communicate using social platforms and do end-to-end transactions. So which means like we have solutions which are future ready, and your customers would always be getting the experience that they deserve. That does not stop us from doing more. We take pride in the fact that we might be the only organization or HCL partner who has a 5-day course on version 9. So let's say if you have your own teams and you want them to be more aware of what to expect on version 9, you can always reach out to us and we can arrange for this 5-day full-time course for your developers, business users. So yeah, so we have those capabilities too, and we do take pride in that. That brings me to end of the webinar, and the host for this meeting can pass it on to me, or if you can probably write that in the chat as well, and I'll be more than happy to answer. I guess we can call it a day. I again thank every one of you to take out the time and join us for this webinar.